Hey guys, we're back for another mock test. Today we have
Marcel.
Marcel. Nice to meet you, Marcel. How many hours have you had to drive, Marcel, on your lessons?
Roughly about 22, 24 hours driving lesson.
Are you also doing any like private driving lessons with your family?
Yeah, a lot of that.
Do you find that's helping in your lessons as well?
Definitely helping, yeah.
Okay, cool. Hey guys, it's me again, Mark. I'm going to talk you through the mock test because I know a lot of you requested that I do this kind of narration, so I'm going to do that and talk you through all the faults and things that you should be looking out for. So this is outside Mill Hill Test Centre on the main road there, and we can see there are lots of cars going past, so our learner's doing well to, stay patient and wait for a nice safe gap. But you can see he's ready, he's got the car in gear, he's got the handbrake ready, and then all you need to do now is have a look over your shoulder and then drive on again, checking his mirror as well. That was really good. And on this video I've included the rear view camera as well, so you can see what's going on behind, because it's going to be really important for the dangerous fault that's coming up, so make sure you stay tuned for that one. So turning right, approach that a little bit quick, and it's going to be kind of like a recurring theme. I think his reasoning was the brakes are a bit different from the car that he's used to. Turning right at the end. Good checks on both sides. Lovely gear change, and we're turning right again. So this junction is really awkward to see to the left, which is why I'm leaning back like this so you can see. And if the examiner is in your way, just ask them to move a little bit out of the way. They will see you trying to see around them anyway, they'll probably move out the way, but if they're still in your way, just ask them to move back a bit or forward a bit, and then they'll move out the way. Once it was clear, nice little move off, and then into second gear. Sorry, I don't know if you can tell, but this is quite a steep hill approaching this roundabout. So as you get to the top, you are actually on a steep section of the road, so if you don't do it properly, there's a big chance that you're going to roll back. But luckily there's no one coming from the right, so he managed to keep moving without having to stop. And he does have an issue with hill starts. I think it's just because of the car, but if you keep watching, you see that on some hills he does struggle a bit. Splits into two, follow it towards the right, please. So sometimes in this section they'll get you to follow the road towards the left where the stop sign is, and if you've seen some of my other videos you would know that a lot of people do fail there, so make sure you check it out properly. The one on the left, if you see the stop sign there, make sure you stop fully, but this time we're going round towards the right, where it can be a bit tricky on this roundabout as well, because it can be quite busy and everyone's close together, but it's just about being patient, looking to your right where those cars are coming from, then once it's clear, making your move. And now through Mill Hill Broadway, where it can be really busy, and we've got a pedestrian crossing right in front of us. And let's see what type of crossing it is. If you can tell me what type of crossing this is, type it in the comments below. Then we're coming up to a bus where you want to take your time here, especially if there's not much room, and there's also a potential for pedestrians to be crossing the road in front of the bus, so don't rush to go through that section there. As you can see, there's lots of cars coming in and out of parking spaces, so you just want to take your time and don't rush, and pedestrians could potentially cross at any time as well. Then another pedestrian crossing. you know what? I'm gonna run a little competition now. If you can put what pedestrian crossing that is in the comments, I'm gonna choose one person at random to win. I don't know, £20. Let's say £20. I'll choose one person at random to win £20 if they get answer correct about what type of pedestrian crossing that is that we just went past. So here we're going straight second exit. And it's best to use the left lane, but he's chosen to use the middle lane, which is also okay. It's not the best lane to be in, but it's going to work out, I think. And then I've seen a lot of comments, people saying, oh, you don't use the left lane to go straight. I'm not sure where they heard that from, but most roundabouts, the left lane is for going straight, unless the left lane says left only. So like now they've moved off altogether, and it's still in the middle lane, which is good. Stopping nicely behind that car. So you have to bear in mind that cars in the left-hand lane where that learner car is are coming off with us as well. And potentially cars on the right as well. They shouldn't be coming from the right, but sometimes people do that. So you need to be checking your mirrors as you're coming off. So a little bit of a roll back there. Checking his mirrors nicely. And off the roundabout. So it's going to get that minor for that rollback, and it's going to be a continuing problem, so keep an eye out for that. If you're going to do a test, you need to be really good at hill starts. You need to know the car that you're driving and make sure that you are at the biting point before you release the handbrake, because that's where Marcel is going wrong right now. He's not reaching the biting point before releasing the handbrake. And it's turned a bit sharply towards the left there, getting a bit too close to the parked cars. So it's going to get a minor for steering there. Good mirror checks there for pulling over. But then watch what he does. So handbrake on. Remember, he's in first gear right now, and he's trying to come off the clutch, but the car's still in gear, and then it's stalled. So that's a minor fault for being in gear when he's should have been in neutral there. Which is why the car stalled, so he's got to restart it again. So when you have to restart the car, just do it the way Marcel's doing, nice and calmly. Some people panic when they realize they've stalled the car. You don't need to panic, just turn it off if you need to, and then restart it calmly, do your checks, and then drive on again when it's safe. Another little roll back there. So another minor. Remember, if you do it a couple of times, maybe even once, it's not going to be a big deal. But if you do it too many times, it's likely to be a serious, or even if you do it once, but it's a lot, like it rolls back quite a bit, that's going to be a serious fault as well. Turning right here. This is a very steep section here, and the car's struggling a little bit. So you see there's got his foot probably all the way down there on the gas to make it work. Some cars you're better off going into first gear there. Other cars could probably handle that really well in second. Good meeting situation, nice mirror check, good lane, good gear change. That was very good. This is a really steep hill downward section. As you can see, he's got his foot on the brake, because if you don't put your foot on the brake like he's doing right now, the car's going to pick up way too much speed. So he's doing well to control the speed with the foot brake, especially approaching the bend as well. See, they brought the speed down even more. And on this day it was really sunny, as you can see for yourself, and at some points it got a bit blinding, so I would recommend that you get used to driving with sunglasses. Some people hate it, but it really does help if the sun is really shining like it is now. Another hill. So as you can see, Mill Hill, it's in the name, there's lots of hills around here. So if you're not good at hill starts and you're doing a manual test, make sure you get good at hill starts before you come and do your test here. That one was good. So you see he had the biting point ready, handbrake down when it was time to move off, and then he moved off the clutch smoothly. That was really good. So 30-mile-an-hour country road. It can be quite pretty around here, and there's also horses on the right. Don't get distracted though. Focus on the road. So you notice the speed is saying 21. It's a bit off by about 2 miles per hour. I think I've mentioned it in the previous videos, but for some reason the digital ones show a speed that's a bit slower than what you're seeing on the dial, on the dashboard. Maybe it's deliberate. If anybody knows the reason, please let us know in the comments. Take the next right, please. So this is a weird little right turn. If you're not paying attention, you can easily miss this. And if you don't see a car coming down the road, you might forget that there's potentially cars coming from straight down there. So you need to make sure you're looking out for them. And if there's any cars coming towards you, you need to give them way. And here as well, it's really difficult to see on the right there because it's on a bend. So Marcel's doing very well to stretch his neck out and come out really slowly, checking both sides over and over. That was really good. Got the sharp bend signs there, warning us that this is an extremely sharp bend towards the right. So you see, here's where the sun's blocking. If you're not careful, it can blind you there. And you can see on the floor those markings leading you to a 20-mile-an-hour sign, letting you know that this is, the speed has changed now to 20 miles per hour. So when Marcel's looking at his speedometer right now, it's showing about 17, now it's showing about 20. Take the next right, please. Good. Some people have missed that giveaway sign before, but Marcel's done well to make sure you slow down enough, check both sides before coming out. Good mirror check to go around that car over there. And now it's 30 miles an hour again, but this is again another section where it's downhill and it's very, very steep. So you see he's gonna try to control the speed with his brake, but when he goes past this bend it gets even steeper and the car's gonna start building up more speed. And then he's come off the brake now and he's going for a gear change, but while he's doing that the car's got much faster. So by now it's doing like 34 miles an hour, 35 almost. So that's why you got the serious there. To make that better, if you're going to be gearing down or gearing up when you're going downhill, you need to keep your foot on the brake the whole time, because if you don't, the car's going to go really fast. Because it's going downhill, and then when your clutch is down, you're basically coasting down that hill now. It's going to pick up speed just like it did there. So you need to use your brake to control the speed as you're gearing up. So that worked out there with that meeting situation, but I would have gone a bit slower there, because if that driver decided not to stop, that could have been a bit of an issue. Don't be too confident that drivers are going to stop. Show that you mean business, but don't do it in a way that if they do come out, you have to slam your brakes.
Take the next right, please.
And then we're taking the next right. Again, it's a bit hidden here as well. So here, if you look at his face, I wasn't sure here if he looked properly to the straight down the road. Yeah, I think I would have liked to see him looking a bit further or a little bit more carefully for any cars that are coming down the road, because it looks like when he's doing that, it looks like he's not aware that he has to give way there. What do you guys think? So you've got a potential meeting situation coming up, and he's braked quite hard there without really checking his center mirror. And this is an ongoing thing that he does as well. He's really good at checking the other mirrors when he's signaling or when he's turning or changing direction, but he's not checking them, or he's not checking the center mirror when he's slowing down or changing speed. So this is a sort of a roundabout. It's a bit weird. There's no exits apart from this one here and the one that we just came from.
Pull over on the left, please.
And again, downhill, so you see he's using the brake the whole time. Nice pull over.
Turn it right to the end of the road.
So he's getting the biting point now. Making sure, hope he looks around again over his shoulder. I was waiting for that car to go past first. Good. And you notice as well, he didn't have to do like another check over his left shoulder and then do check over your right shoulder again. Just check over your right shoulder, check your mirrors, check over your right shoulder. If it's clear, then you move. If you don't want to waste too much time doing your checks over again, especially from the left side, which is unnecessary. In that time, another car could come. Here we're turning left onto quite a busy road. Sometimes they'll get you to turn right here back towards Mill Hill Test Centre, and it can be really busy there, so just take your time and come out when it's safe.
Next roundabout, turn left, please.
So I believe this is where you got his first hesitation. So there are cars coming from the right, but they're going towards the left with the indicators on, and he's not noticing that. I was waiting for them still. So got hesitation there. He could have gone much earlier. So with the hesitation, don't rush though. I don't want you to look at this and think, oh, you have to rush everywhere. If there are clear chances and you're not taking them, you probably will get a minor. But it has to be quite a few cars, and usually if you're holding people up as well, that's when you're gonna get a minor. If you keep doing it, then you're gonna get a serious fault.
End of the road, turn right, please.
One of the steepest hills in Mill Hill. So that person on the left struggling to walk up there, that's how steep it is. So really hard brake there. Again, no mirror check before he did that. Then he's rolling back. And then now he's managed it. So he could have made that a lot easier by approaching that in first gear. So you noticed he left it in second gear and then slammed the brake like before he got to the giveaway line. The easier thing to do would be, as you're approaching it, get into first gear before you get to the top, and then that way the car's not going to be struggling in second gear to go up that last bit. And also, if it's clear, you can just move on again in first gear without having to come to a full stop. Another meeting situation. Good mirror check on the right, but I didn't check the center mirror. So this is an ongoing thing, so I think what we'll do is just make it into a serious fault so that we can talk about it afterwards, and then he can discuss it with his instructor, and hopefully before his test he can sort it out. Another hill. So you see there's getting his biting point first and then moving. That one was good. So quite a narrow section here. Potential for any vehicle to be coming through from the other end. So you need to be ready there to stop for them or for them to stop for you. And then in the distance we can see, I think it's a lorry doing something there. If you're not sure what a large vehicle like this is doing, or any vehicle, just give them plenty of space. Because if you get too close, they might be doing something that involves them coming towards you. So you need to give them plenty of room, let them get out the way first, and then know what they're doing, and then move on. A good way to do that is by making eye contact. So Marcel done that really well. Because I think the mistake people make is they just assume that person's going to move out the way for them quickly, and they get really close before the person's even ready to move out the way. So don't do it like that. Do it the way Marcel did. Just take your time until you know for sure what the person wants to do. So you see they're getting into gear 1 just before he stopped. You could have done that on the hill as well. That's the technique I'm talking about. Just get into first just before you come to a stop. That way you're ready to go. And if you're going up a hill, a really steep hill, it's going to be much easier on the car to move off in first gear rather than second. So going downhill, following this learner. Now watch what the learner does in front of us. And watch Marcel's face. See, if you look at his eyes, he's not checking the mirror. I'll be checking the mirror right now. If this person's indicating I'll be checking my mirror on my center mirror to see who's behind me. And you see this? The learner in front should have gone in the box. They didn't go in the box, which forced Marcel to slow down and stop. But really, he should have been checking his mirror as well. Because sometimes people don't know how to use that box properly. If you are the person in front where that learner was, make sure you're using that box to position yourself so that people behind you can go past, because people have failed for sticking out their box like that and preventing traffic from driving on. We're going to start the independent driving now, okay? So I'd like you to follow us self-directions. When you get to a roundabout, turn right, third exit. Get to a set of lights, turn right. And I'll give you the rest of the directions after that, yeah? So what are we doing?
Roundabout, turn right, third exit. At the traffic lights, turn right. Okay.
And if you're not sure on this one, you can ask, but ask in plenty of time and I can confirm, yeah?
Yeah, of course.
When you're ready. Okay, moving off now on the independent drive. Good all-round checks. Building up his speed nicely. Because what you don't want to do is come out of that space and then go really slowly and forcing the car behind you to catch up and then slowing them down. Sometimes if the car behind you is speeding, there's nothing you can do, you can't help it. But if you see that they're speeding, let them go past first and then carry on. But if you already come out and then another car comes behind you really fast and that wasn't there before, there's nothing really you can do. Sometimes people speed and you just have to drive safely as you can. So remember, the instruction here was to go right third exit at the first roundabout. So you need to be thinking about this beforehand. You need to be asking if you're not sure, and so that you already know where you're going, where you're going to position yourself, how you're going to signal. So all that stuff is not like you're not thinking about it at the roundabout, you've already thought about it. So here there's a nice big gap because there's two cars indicating left. You can't really see them, but there were cars indicating to go left, so you could have gone there. And then this van driver that's going to come up from the right is going to is basically signaling for it to come through, but it's not taking the hint. So not because of the van driver, but because there was a big gap before as well, that's why I gave hesitation. If you're not sure what somebody's doing, like the van driver, don't move. Because sometimes if you're not sure, they might not be letting you through, so just don't move. But if there are big spaces and people are indicating to go the other way, there's no reason for you to keep waiting. Otherwise, the roundabout was done very well. So just clarifying there that it's not these traffic lights that were turning right, it's the main ones. So as you're waiting in this kind of position, it's really good to pay attention. And you see here the car next to us is trying to go into their driveway. And Marcel has seen that has moved forward a bit, which has allowed them to go into their driveway. So that's the kind of attention you want to be paying. So don't start looking around or looking at the floor, because you're going to miss things like that. So well done again to Marcel. So now the next turn or the next bit of the independent driving is quite far away, and it's really easy now to just kind of stop paying attention and forget about what you're actually doing because you're just having a nice relaxing drive. You need to remember what you're doing. What's the next part? Always focus on that. What did he say to me again? Oh, he said traffic lights, turn right. Okay, so I know when I get to a set of traffic lights, I need to position myself towards the right, because if you get too relaxed and forget, you could end up in the wrong position or end up making the turn more difficult for yourself. So it got too bright, I had to fling on the sunglasses. And then straight away the sun goes. So nice and steady up that hill, and now it's going downhill, approaching those traffic lights that I mentioned earlier. And he's positioned himself to the right because he's thinking about which way he was supposed to turn. Approaching it really quick there, and it's, yeah, it's just too fast. And it's braked quite late. Yeah, he was saying he's not used to those brakes. He was pressing them, but apparently nothing was happening when he was pressing them. But if that's the case, if you've not driven that car before and then you're pressing the brakes and you're not feeling the speed slow down, you need to squeeze it a bit harder so that you don't end up getting too close and not stopping in time. And then turning right onto the dual carriageway, you've got to be really careful here that you're not just following the car in front, but actually thinking about who's coming down the road, who's got priority. Like here, it's nice and clear, so it's not going to be too difficult. And then you want to be aiming for the left lane. And Marcel's done that really well and checked his mirror on the left as well to make sure that there's no one there cutting in front of him on the left. So I think the sun was facing the other way now, so I could take my sunglasses off. And here's getting quite close to the sides, and he's just moved away again. Then he gets close again a little bit. What you want to listen out for is if you hear any stones getting picked up, you hear a little on the sides, it means that you're driving on the section that no one else drives on. You're driving on basically the dirty part of the road where no one else drives on, so that's why pebbles and stones collect there, nails and stuff. So if you're hearing that, it means you're definitely too close to the left, and you need to reposition yourself back to the middle. And here we're following signs from Mill Hill. So it's geared down to second there because the traffic was moving slowly, which was good, and then back to first. Now it's gearing down. So Mill Hill is just straight this way. No need for a signal, just keep to the left and go around, keep into your lane. People get confused there because the sign looks like it's a roundabout, but it's not a roundabout. So into third, building up his speed. Into fourth. So he's gone into the correct gear for this, but watch the bus in the front. That's going to cause some issues in a second. Just keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on Marcel as well. And remember, we're in fourth gear right now. So the bus is signaling to go over to the left. He's slowing down. He's still in fourth gear. The car's struggling now in that gear because it's just a bit uphill as well. And then he's gone into the lane. If you're in fourth gear, you're not going to get any power from this. So he's put his foot down on the gas, but nothing is happening. Then the vehicles behind got quite close because he had no power to go around that bus. He should have geared down to second, maybe even third a bit before. But because he was in the wrong gear and going uphill slowly, he had no power to go faster past that bus. And I think when I talked to him about it afterwards, you see it on the debrief, he thought that gear 4 would have more acceleration than second gear or third gear. But remember guys, the lower gears have more acceleration power than the higher gears. So if you want to go past something quickly, you have to drop a gear. So if you want to go past that lorry quickly, drop into the second, or maybe even drop into third. It will work much better than fourth gear. And again, he got really close to the curb. So I gave him a serious for that because I got really close to actually going for the steering wheel there. An inch more to the left, I think I would have had to go for the steering wheel. And here we're following signs for Burnt Oak, which is left first exit. So at this point, you need to be telling yourself, all right, I'm on the dual carriageway right now, but I'm coming off onto, the main roads. It's a bit busier. There's more people there. People are crossing roads, parked cars, cyclists. So you need to adapt your style of driving. Don't come off the dual carriageway and drive the same way that you're driving on the dual carriageway. It's a different environment and requires a different types of driving as well. So back into the 30 zone, but just because it says 30 doesn't mean you have to do 30 miles an hour here. There's a lot of things going on, you see. Way busier than it was in the dual carriageway. You've got cars coming out from the sides, bus stops, pedestrians, parked vehicles, pedestrian crossings. There's a lot going on here. So don't forget, guys, for your chance to win £20, I'm going to choose a random person who can tell me what kind of crossing that was. Leave it in the comments and I'll choose a random person to get £20. So remember, on this type of crossing, if there are people waiting to cross and it starts flashing like that, just keep moving. If they're already on the crossing, then you wait for them. You treat it the same as a green light. So here, nicely done. Both those cars were blocking the car on the right, and you saw that nice and early and kept moving. So that was really good. So a bit fast towards that turn there. That's a really sharp turn, by the way. I'd go much slower in there and use first gear as well, because it's super sharp, especially if there was another car waiting at the junction. It makes it even narrower, so make sure you're slowing down loads and going into first gear, and then watching out for that curb on the left as well, the one that you can see me looking at in the video there. People sometimes don't see that and then they try to drive over it. It's really high and it can damage your vehicle if you're not careful. So this car park is not usually this packed, but they do use it for the test center, like for parking. So I think Hendon and Mill Hill sometimes use this car park for both reverse and forward bay park. And you're probably going to see learners here as well. If you come here to practice, you'll see learners here as well. So we're doing a forward bay park, any side that he likes. I would have liked to have seen a little left shoulder blind spot check before making that turn. Otherwise, in terms of control, the first part is done really nicely. He's in the bay, but I wanted him to make sure that he knows that he's in the bay. Once he confirmed that, telling him to drive out so he's facing towards the right. So it's really important that you do this part properly as well, because you're reversing out. So you want to be checking all the sides, because there could be vehicles driving past you, pedestrians walking, And he's doing that really well right now, looking everywhere, shaking over his shoulders. He might seem a bit extra, but this level of looking is what's required when reversing out of a parking bay like this. And here would have been a nice thing to do if you'd done a left shoulder check there as well, like I was doing, because anybody could be coming from there. So I think that deserves a observation fault. Keeping it nice and slow through here. And then turning left at the end. So by now you'd know like this is nearly the end of the test, but don't get too relaxed. Also the battery died there, but don't worry, it's going to be back in a minute. Don't miss me too much, we'll be back in the camera in a second, guys. At least now you can see the nice sky. This roundabout though, be really careful. Lots of people fail here. For some reason, you see that big sign there saying mini roundabout. People don't see it for some reason, and he's approached it a bit quick. I don't know if it's the brake thing again, but I would have approached it a little bit slower than that, and then go when it's clear like it was there. Take the next right, please. And then turning right. Before, you'd finish the test in the test center, but now I'm seeing them finish on this road here. So this is where we started, but you'd start in the test center and then finish here. And he's positioning himself really well in the middle of the road here, like in the box. So you see the car in front is positioning themselves really well as well, not sticking out, so therefore any cars that are behind can go past really nicely and easily. And then now it's about going forward, so the car that's coming out of the side road on the right knows that you're not letting them come out. And then when you get a nice chance, taking it like that. That was really, really well done. Here getting blinded by the sun, making sure you don't drive too fast through here, especially where it's a bit narrow, because you want to be able to see properly. And then pulling over on the left in a safe place, securing the car, and then I'll leave myself and Marcel back to the debrief. Okay, how do you feel that went?
I know exactly where I messed up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Where did you mess up?
Overtaking that bus.
Mm-hmm.
Where else? The speeding as well. I was braking and I wasn't braking enough, and I was over 30. And then a couple of rollbacks on the seat wheels.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Most people don't know where they failed, but you know exactly where.
Exactly. I was like,
yeah,
shit.
Yeah. So the bus situation, what happened there?
What it was that I knew was gonna pull up on the left for the bus stop, and obviously I slowed down, indicated, and obviously the gears started rumbling, and nobody was letting me through, so I was in there for too long and slowed down too long.
Yeah. You said the gears were rumbling. So you felt that it was quite early on it started rumbling. If it's rumbling, what should you do?
I should have just changed to gear 3 or 2.
Or even 2, yeah.
I should have, it's a safer option, just wait behind the bus.
Or wait behind the bus if you're really unsure, and then go when it's clearer, yeah?
Yeah.
So when you went, there was enough space there, but because you were in the wrong gear,
it was too slow.
It was too slow, then you're going to get in front of that van, which is why I had to kind of pull you back to the left lane, yeah? But at least you know that one, though.
Yeah, I know.
And then, so the rollbacks, you already mentioned those. So a little one is not going to be a big deal, but you've done it a few times as well. So that's why it turned into a serious. Yeah. It's just a matter of getting your biting point. You need to get your biting point first.
Yeah, the thing is I had the handbrake up as well. And then it wasn't
enough of a strong biting point.
Yeah.
As well. And then the speed. So it was going downhill, wasn't it? Yeah.
The thing was with that, yeah. It was like when we first started, the braking compared to what I'm used to is a lot stiffer.
So when you're pressing, you think it should be working.
Yeah,
right?
and then I looked at the speed and I was like, yeah.
It was faster than you thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, you went a bit too fast there. Okay. There's one I think I'm gonna give you a serious anyway, just because I don't want to be too easy on you, and then on the test you do the same thing and fail. Yeah. On the dual carriageway, did you notice you're getting really close to the curb at times?
A little bit.
Did you ever hear like little stones getting picked up by the wheels on the left?
I don't really. Nah, I don't really hear that.
If you're hearing that, yeah, it means you're driving where no one else is driving,
Mm-hmm.
with all the dirt collects.
Yeah.
And a couple of times, once I nearly pushed the steering wheel away. This is after the bus situation.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was another bus stop ahead of us, and then like a big gap, so there's no pavement.
Yeah.
And then when the pavement starts again, you drove a bit towards it, and then at the last second you kind of drove away.
Yeah.
So be really careful with that, okay? I'll give you a serious for steering on the dual carriageway then. Just steering in general, there's another time we turned left into a side road, and then you went a bit close to parked cars. Steering was a little bit wobbly, so I think you should definitely work a bit on your steering. A couple of times once time you got quite close to parked vehicles on the left. These are minors, by the way.
Yeah.
Hesitation. So at roundabouts, sometimes you're not looking at people's signals, or you're not like acting on their signals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you need to look at their signals, and then if they're turning the other way, you don't need to wait for them. But a couple of times there were people that were coming towards the roundabout, but they weren't coming towards you, but you kept on waiting for them anyway. Yeah, so if you start looking at their signals, it's a lot easier to just like start moving. Yeah.
Which roundabout was that?
So there was one.
Was it the independent driving one?
Yeah. So one of them was independent driving. So I've only written them down once, but we've done it like a couple of times. There was the independent driving, the big roundabout. The first car coming towards you was indicating left to come off the first exit, so you should have just gone.
Yeah, and then there was another guy who wasn't indicating at all, and then he came.
Yeah, you have to wait for him because he's doing the right thing. He's not indicating because he's going straight, isn't it? Yeah. And then this roundabout is just at the end. It took a bit long. Those cars were both indicating left, but you waited for them to get blocked. You didn't need to wait for them to get blocked. They're already going to the left. Yeah. So just pay attention to that, okay? A couple of times you're not checking your mirrors when you're slowing down. This one, you're really good that you're like when you're going around obstacles and before you signal.
Yeah.
Those mirrors were perfect, but sometimes you're not checking this mirror before you slow down.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure you're checking that. Yeah. Approach speed. This is something you should definitely work on. Yeah? I don't know if it's because of the brake thing, but even if you're saying because of the brake was a bit harder than what you're used to, yeah, you're still leaving it really late to bring your speed down. So like. Yeah. Let's say I'm driving a new car, because you're driving this car for the first time today, right? If I'm driving a new car and let's say I'm braking, but then the speed is not doing what I want it to do, I'll brake even more. So I mean, I'm not going to allow it to get closer and then suddenly brake really hard. That's what's happening on this mock test, yeah? You're braking quite late on a lot of times, then that will result in you turning in kind of like fast. Yeah, so start bringing, not just for turns. Sometimes when you're approaching traffic as well, you're leaving it really late, start braking, and then when you get there, it's like you have to brake really hard because you're going too fast for that. Yeah. So just start braking much earlier, and that's going to make your driving a lot smoother. And it's going to make it look like you're a bit more competent. You know what you're doing. Yeah. Yeah, and then gears for the other gears. So you got one dangerous for the gears because you were in the wrong gear and that lane change there, yeah. And then the other one was you've stopped on the side of the road, but then you've left it in gear and then you come off the clutch. Yeah. And stalled. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So that was a minor for. Should put it into neutral first, yeah. This you didn't get a fault for, but it's just something I wrote down for you to take note. So all the time when you're moving off, you're not using any gas. Get used to using the gas and the clutch together. It will make your drive a lot smoother, especially on hills and especially on places where you have to pick up speed quickly. Because at the moment, I don't know if you heard sometimes, do you know that really steep hill? Yeah. Did you see how much the car's rumbling there? Yeah, struggling. If you got your friends in the car, that wouldn't work. Or if you got like a different car that's got like a weaker clutch, that's not gonna work. They need to give it a bit of power with the gas and the clutch together. Yeah. Apart from that, I think that's pretty much it. So even though you did get that dangerous and then the others 2 serious faults, yeah, your basic driving is pretty good. Your foundation's really good. Yeah. You just need to slow it down a bit. on certain situations. Even coming off the dual carriageway there onto Mill Broadway, that was once you got off there, it was a bit quick. So it slowed it down. Remember, you're not on the dual carriageway anymore. You're like on the high road now, where things are a bit different. Just bring your speed down a bit. It feels like you're in a bit of a rush. Yeah, so just take your time. But I saw a lot of good driving out there, like the way you're dealing with other traffic, dealing with other drivers, because sometimes, you know, when you're waiting at that light, the temporary light, and then that guy told you to move forward, dealing with stuff like that, because sometimes it's easy to just like lose focus and not realize what's going on next to you, but you were fully aware what's going on, communicated with the guy, there was a bit of space, you move forward nicely. So that kind of stuff is good, because you're showing that you're like aware of what's going on around you, and you're, you know, in control of the situation. So well done. I know you didn't pass, but your general driving, I think, is pretty good. A few more lessons and I think you'll be all right. Yeah, what do you reckon?
Yeah, because I knew as soon as when I what's it called, the rolling back, I knew I messed up with that one. The obviously the dual carriageway, I was just thinking in my head like, I should have just waited behind it.
Yeah, well, change gears. If you had changed gears, that would have been a perfect lane change. Because the car was far enough away, your speed was good, but then the speed that you're doing was not good for that gear. Do you understand? But otherwise, that was really good. Thank you for doing the mock test.
Thank you for having me.
So guys, that was a nice mock test actually. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Thank you, Marcel, for joining us.
Thank
and you guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.